Welcome to another episode, a Christmas episode of Cutie Q Cards and Crafts. Today the girls will be with me, so you might hear some background noise, but I'm going to keep it as distracting free as possible. So I'm using that snowflake stamp from the Lawn Fawn set called Frosties. It's a little older, and you can see that is my Versamark watermark ink, and it's filthy. And the only good thing about it is you can actually see where I'm stamping. That is supposed to be, hi sweetie, a clear stamping ink that's like a sticky ink that you can put your embossing powder on and it sticks. But I did not take care of it over the years, and so it is a hot mess. But you can see where I'm stamping, and the only problem I have is I can't use clear embossing powders because it will show through. But I am using silver, so it really doesn't matter because it's just going to cover up all the dirty, inky marks anyway. So I'm just covering those stamped areas. The baby's like super excited right now, and she's like hugging my arm. I'm covering it with the silver embossing powder, and then I'm going to hit it with my heat tool. And you're going to see how the embossing powder melts. I love watching the embossing powder melt. I don't know why. It's just, it's amazing to me. But I am cleaning up some of the stray pieces with a dry paintbrush and my finger. And now I'm going to heat it with the heat tool. I didn't have the heat tool running prior to this, so it is going to take a little bit of time for it to heat up. But then after a while, you will start seeing it kind of start to melt the powder. There you go. You can see it melting the powder. Now, those corners right after the embossing powder melts, it's hot. And so you're going to see me like touch one of those corners right after and then kind of just quickly flinch just because it hurt. It was hot. See there, I just flinched. But yeah, I need to remember, I'm not very... I always forget. I'm not very smart sometimes, and I'll just touch the hot area right after the embossing powder melts, and then I'll remember it's hot. So there's the last of it. I'm just going to go over the entire thing just in case I missed a couple spots, and now you can see it's shiny and silver, nice and lovely. So now I'm going to do a full water wash with my large paintbrush. Just wet down the watercolor paper. Oh, that is watercolor paper, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Now I'm just going to roughly color in with some light blue because it's snowflakes and it's snow and it's snowflakes falling from the sky. And so I liked the very light blue color. And I'm not making it super perfect. I'm making it a little splotchy just to give it a little bit of dimension and interest. And so now I'm going to go in with a darker blue, a slightly darker blue, to just give it some more depth. And you'll see that the watercolor does resist the areas that there is embossing powder or melted embossing powder on. So you're going to see that the embossed images are just going to start shining through the watercolor and just make this beautiful effect. And I love the way that looks. And so I'm just going to, sorry, the camera cannot focus when I'm kind of shoving a heat tool right at the camera lens. So I'm just hitting it with some heat to dry it off really fast. And then I'm going to... At first I was going to mat it with the silver paper because I figured the silver goes well with the silver embossed images. So you're seeing me kind of cutting it down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then I'm going to take 1/4 of an inch off of each side. And so I do that. And when I did that, I noticed it just it didn't give me enough contrast. The silver paper didn't really stand out to me, and nothing really stood out to me. It just kind of looked more plain. So when I put it against the black backdrop, I loved the way the entire background just popped right at me. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim this down again. And then I'm going to mat mat it out. And there you go. And I love the way the light blue background, the silver embossing, it just kind of pops off of the black background. It really gives that big contrast, and I really enjoyed the way that looked. So I was really happy with that. Plus, I have a ton of black paper that I ordered that I thought I needed for a custom order, and I realized I don't. So I'm really trying any excuse to use some of that black paper, which you'll probably see in future videos. I'm going to probably do some brush lettering with white paint or metallic paint over black paper, but that is to come. Anyway, now it's on to the sentiment. That is a scrap piece of a watercolor paper, and I am going to pull out my Silver Wink of Stella brush pen. And right there, I'm just testing out to see how well it pops off of the watercolor paper, see if it shows off enough. And it does, so I decided to do some brush lettering. I think I'm writing Let It Snow. And so there you go. I'm writing out Let It Snow. And then I realized that I think I wrote it way too far onto the left side. So I was like, okay, well, let's see how it works. And it just doesn't feel like it's over far enough to the left. So I decided to do it again. I was going to give myself a lot more room on the end. I wanted initially to kind of banner out the edge, and when I wrote it out the first time, it just didn't work out that way, and it just didn't look right. And that's how a lot of my card making is. If it doesn't look right, then it just doesn't feel right. And I don't follow any sort of design rules because I'm not a designer by trade. I'm a scientist by trade. I went to school for biology. So all this art stuff, I just wing it. I just see whatever looks good to me. And so now I'm just going to trim off that edge, straighten it out a little bit, and then I'm going to flag out. I kind of like do a little banner fishtail. I think that's what everyone else calls it, fishtail at the end, and then kind of see how far over to the left I want it to go. Stick some tape on and eyeball it, and there you go. Trim off the edges, and there's the finished card. Then I trimmed out the card base to fit exactly over it. I love how she likes to make noise like right at the end of the video. And there's some close-up videos, close-up pictures. You can see how the silver metallic embossing powder just kind of shines against the light, and it's beautiful. I love it. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm hoping to do a couple more Christmassy related videos to come. So stay tuned, like, and subscribe. I'll see you later. Bye.